Hello and welcome! Are you ready to kickstart your Dutch language journey? In this video we're gonna dive into a few essential Dutch words that will help you to talk about language learning itself. We'll introduce a few keywords, see them in action with context-rich sentences. And at the end we'll recap everything and test your knowledge with a fun quiz. So let's get started and build your Dutch vocabulary step by step. Dutch language learning vocabulary. Yes, let's go. Let's start with our first lesson. The first lesson will be relatively short. I don't want to overload you. And we're going to talk about some words that are associated with language learning, right? Like the word, the exercise, that kind of things. So I also want to talk about how it's structured. So what we do first is we always see this screen, and on the right hand side you see a picture. The picture, if possible, will be associated with the word we're going to learn. But some words just don't have a visual representation, right? Then what we will do, we will see on the left hand side, we will see in bold on top, in black, we will see the Dutch word. So in this case that is de taal, de taal. And then underneath that we will see in blue the language, and that is in this case cursive and blue, right? So that's how we're going to structure it. The Dutch word on top, de taal, will always be shown with the article in front of it. For example, in this case, de. De is the article. So in Dutch we have two articles. It can be de or it can be het. So I want from the beginning that you learn what the right article is, because you have to learn them by heart. There's not a specific rule that you can know which article it is. So for example, in English you always have the, right? It's always the language. But in Dutch it can be de or het, right? And then if I explain to you the word, now we always go to a sentence. So first on top you see there the Dutch sentence. So Nederlands is een mooie taal. That is the Dutch sentence. And then I will explain to you what the English translation of that sentence is. Dutch is a beautiful language. And because you see then the word in the sentence, it gives you context and it helps you also to remember it better. So that's how we will go about it. And then at the end we will do a recap, a summary, and we'll do a short quiz. And that is the build-up of each lesson. Alright, we're going to go back and then we're going to start with the first word, that is de taal. So the word for the language in Dutch is de taal. De taal. And if we put that into a sentence, we can say, for example, Nederlands is een mooie taal. And that means Dutch is a beautiful language. I will repeat that again. Nederlands is een mooie taal. Alright, we go to the next word. So we have the lesson or the class, and that is de les. De les, de les. For example, ik ga vanmiddag naar de les. I'm going to the lesson this afternoon. I'll repeat that. Ik ga vanmiddag naar de les. Then we go to the word. The word. And that is in Dutch het woord. Het woord. Het woord. So you see the word woord is preceded by het. So before we saw de, and here we see het. Later in the course I explain that more. So het woord. Het woord. Kun je dit woord spellen? Can you spell this word? Kun je dit woord spellen? Yes, exactly. Good. Then we go to the exercise. And in Dutch the exercise is de oefening. De oefening. De oefening. For example, ik doe elke dag een oefening. I do an exercise every day. I hope you will do that too, because that will help you to proceed, of course, in your language learning. So I'll repeat it again. Ik doe elke dag een oefening. Yes. As I mentioned, very short module. Then we go to the recap, the summary. And as mentioned before, we will summarize here all the words we have just seen. So what I will do, I will pronounce the word, the Dutch word, twice, and I will say the English word one time. Okay? De taal. De taal is the language. De les. De les is the lesson or the class. Het woord. Het woord is the word. De oefening. De oefening is the exercise. Great, so these are the first 4 words. Let's go to a quick quiz. It's quiz time. So let's see. I'm going to give you here a flashcard, and with the flashcard you will see a Dutch word on top, de taal, and I'm going to ask you, what does that mean? Do you remember? So the Dutch word de taal, what does that mean? It has something to do with learning in this course. What are you learning? You're learning a language, right? Yes, de taal is the language. Good. Then we go to question 2. That's a word scramble, a letter scramble. And here I'm looking for a word we just learned. And in this case, the word starts with a W. And what is it going to be, you think? So the English is the word. So how would you say that in Dutch? So W and then something else. Yes, woord. So woord is word. So English is word, the Dutch is woord. Then we go to the third multiple choice question that we have, and that is the lesson. What is the lesson in Dutch? So the lesson is English. How would you translate that into Dutch? Is that A, de les, B, het woord, C, de oefening? Which one is the right answer to the lesson? Is that A, B or C? Make your choice. I think if you look at the makeup of the letters, you see it already, right? Yes, it is A, right? De les is the lesson. Alright, we come to the end of the first module already. This is a very short module. I can promise you that other modules will be a lot longer, but this is at least a good start. So let's go to the next lesson. See you there. Geweldig gedaan. Good job. You've just taken another step with improving your Dutch. What did you find most helpful? Drop it in the comments below if you want. And if you want to learn even more Dutch, check out my online Dutch courses for step-by-step lessons, and you can find the link in the description of this video. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss a new lesson. So see you in the next video.